Hey guys, this is Nate from RunDreamAchieve.com. Hope you all are having a great weekend. Today's video I wanted to talk on how I ran under a 9:30 2-mile. And really the reason why I'm making these particular how I ran under specific video times is basically just to give you a snapshot of some of the things that I was doing over the years to run those particular times. It's not I'm not making these videos to brag or anything like that, because really over the years I've been beaten so many times, have had so many ups and downs along the way, that there's no things weren't perfect for me, just like they're not going to be perfect for every athlete. We all have trials and tribulations when it comes to preparing for our races, but I do think that it's important to tell the story, to provide input. Maybe you'll get some ideas from hearing how I was able to run under that particular time for the 2-mile distance, and so that you can take something from it and hopefully start dropping times in your particular event, whether that's the 2-mile, the 5K, the 10K, all the way up to the marathon distance. But when I was in high school, I started running in 1992. My brother talked me into coming out for the track team, and I had no idea what event I was going to run. All I knew was I had the build for a distance runner, so I started running the 3,200 meter, which is the 2-mile, the mile, which is 1,600 meters in high school if you're not here in the States, and the 800 meter. So I found a love for the sport based on him talking me into coming out for track. But the first time I ran the mile, I ran it in 5:30. The first time I ran the 2-mile, I ran it in 11 minutes and 30 seconds. So that was my freshman year in 1992. By 1995, my senior year, I was able to lower my mile time down from 5:30 down to 4:25, and my 2-mile down from 11:30 down to 9 minutes and 46 seconds as a senior in high school. Obviously, there's a lot of athletes around the country here in the United States of America that ran much faster than I did in high school. The key thing to keep in mind, you have to continue to work on your speed. When I was in college, I was able to run 9:27 for the 2-mile, which was officially my fastest time for the 2-mile distance. I found more of a love for longer distances, but I was able to at least work on my speed enough that I was able to run 9 minutes and 27 seconds for the 2-mile. And the reason why I was able to lower it down from 11:30 down to eventually down to 9:27 was because of persistent action in training. I was constantly working on speed, training at paces that were closer to around 4:20 to 4:30 mile pace. I was able to eventually, when I was in college and then later on in my career, was able to get to a point where I could do 6 1-mile repetitions at around 4:44 to 4:48 at 6,400 feet elevation with a 2-minute rest in between each rep. So again, regardless of what it is, what time you're trying to run for the 2-mile, whether you're trying to break 12 minutes, 11 minutes, sub 10 minutes, I did make a video about that. I'll link here up in the video itself. You have to just continue to focus on your goal race pace, whether that is 5-minute mile pace and you're trying to get under 10 minutes, or you're trying to run maybe under 14 minutes and you're trying to sustain 6:59 pace for 2 miles. It all comes down to a variation of different things. You can't just do one thing and each week on a consistent basis and expect to get great results. You have to do a lot of specific things and specific training in order to run fast over the 2-mile distance. Longer long runs. We always talk about doing, if you're training for a 2-mile, get to a point where you can do your long run at around 10 miles to 12 miles. Because that long distance running is going to make you very strong, not only endurance wise, but if you're doing the long runs that I teach in my training programs and running courses, if you're alternating doing one long run one week at a faster pace, followed by the next weekend very easy and relaxed, so that you're recovering from those harder fast-paced long runs, you're going to build that strength and stamina that you need for the 2-mile distance. Again, because the 2-mile is such a highly anaerobic event, you have to train anaerobically. It's not the marathon distance. So the marathon is much more aerobic. So yes, you still need to work on your speed as a marathoner. Even no matter if you don't have a lot of overall leg speed, we can always work on that. Whether that's doing strides, doing 5 to 6 100-meter strides, and you're doing 5 to 6 reps of that 3 times a week, over a 16-week block of training, you're going to be spending many miles at sprint paces. So again, that's going to recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers that you need for the 2 mile. And obviously these are, the strides are too short to build up any real lactic acid. So the strides are gonna help you recruit fast twitch muscle fibers, but more importantly, those speed workouts, whether those are repeat 600s on the track, you're doing 1K intervals on the roads, maybe 5 to 6 1K intervals hard, followed by 5 to 6 intervals easy. So between a 10 and a 12K run on the roads. Those types of workouts where you're getting your heart rate up, above 170 beats per minute, closer to your maximum heart rate. Those types of workouts are going to recruit fast twitch muscle fibers, which are going to make you become very efficient at running fast over various distances. The 2 mile, you need speed. You need you need to do everything. You need to do those long runs, so you're building your endurance, and jogging on recovery days, so you're recovering from the hard anaerobic workouts you're doing. But you need to be able to also train at paces that are much faster than your goal race pace. So if you're somebody that's trying to run, say 13 minutes for the 2 mile, you need to hold 6:29 mile pace for 2 miles in a row. So you need to spend some time training well under 6-minute mile pace. Now, if you're only going to be able to sustain those types of paces for so long, but it's key to train faster than your goal race pace, so that you get race pace to feel not so aggressive. And again, it's going to hurt at the latter stages of a 2 mile, especially in the last mile of that race. A lot of runners get the weakest around lap 6. If you're doing a 2 mile on the track, it's those last 2 laps is really where you want to pick up the pace and start picking people off in the race. If you're on the roads, it's really about, as well as the track, it's about proper pacing. So you don't want to go out too fast in a 2 mile and pay for it in the last few laps of the race. The 2 mile definitely it takes a proper plan, and knowing that if you're going after a very fast time, like in my case, I was really, one of my goals when I was in college was trying to break 9 minutes for the 2 mile, as well as 4 minutes for the mile when I was in high school. I had to learn that I didn't have that type of speed, but you can always, like I said, you can always develop your speed and work on becoming the best athlete that you possibly can be. The faster you can run a 2 mile, the better and more, you're going to have a higher success rate at running fast over the other distances, because again, you're working and developing your speed. So for me, over the years, I felt that getting my mile time down as fast as I got it down to 4:22 and my 2 mile down to 9:27 really helped me eventually run faster at the longer distances. 14:18 for 5K, 31:09 for 10K, 50:54 for 10 miles, 107:06 for the half, 144:05 for 20 miles, which is 5:11 mile pace, and I ran 2:19:35 for the marathon. So again, I'm saying these things not to impress you, but impress upon you what you're capable of doing, as long as you stay tenacious about what you're wanting to do. These types of results don't come overnight. So if you have that long-term vision, that long-term mindset that I'm going to do whatever it takes for a given amount of time, whether that's a few years or a few months, if you're somebody with somebody that doesn't have a lot of talent like me, and you're going to have to, you're really relying on your work ethic, it may take you several years to run under your specific time for the 2 mile distance. It may take you a few months. You just never know what you can really do until you've really done everything you possibly can do in training. But know that in a 4-month block of training, you may not reach your goal for the 2 mile. It may take you a few iterations of your training block to eventually get to a point where you can run under your specific goal time for the 2 mile distance. I do know that watching the world's best distance runners run the 2 mile, I know the 2 mile for the men is Daniel Komen from Kenya. He ran 7:58, the only time ever that a male has been able to run under 8 minutes for the 2 mile. I believe the 2 mile for the females is around 8 minutes and 58 seconds, which are phenomenal times. These athletes are obviously training much faster than their goal race pace in training, but they have a combination of great talent but a high level of work ethic as well. So learn from these athletes. I hope this particular video has at least given you some ideas of some of the things that you need to be doing. You need to be working on your speed. If you're doing those strides that I teach in the running courses and the running programs on RunDreamAchieve.com, you're doing those 3 times a week on your easy days. Again, because strides are too short to really build up any legitimate lactic acid, you can still do those strides on top of your workouts throughout the week. And over several weeks, several months, several years, you're gonna be spending many miles at sprint paces. So again, that on top of doing the track workouts, fartlek workouts where you're doing maybe 20 times 1 minute hard followed by 1 minute easy, so a 40-minute run. Doing those fartleks are, you know, what we call speed play. If you don't know, most athletes know what a fartlek is, but it's a mixture of running fast and running slow. So training at a very high heart rate, then slowing down to recovery jog pace, and then going back into that hard effort. All of these things, all of these combinations of workouts will make you a better 2 mile athlete. Running, and that's basically how I ran under a 9:30 2 mile. I was able to stay consistent. I found a love for what I did in the sport of middle to long distance running, and that's what you have to have. I didn't give up. I continued to train regardless if it was snowing, if it was high winds, if it was raining outside. I put in doubles. I got up to eventually up to 140 miles a week, which that was when I was training for the marathon. But again, it's doing little things right over and over again for long periods of time and making those adjustments in your training and in your racing. When you have a poor race or you have a poor workout, not getting too bent out of shape for too long and continuing to look toward the future and not focusing so much on the past is what's going to really set you up for success for the 2 mile distance. You have to continue to focus on what it is you want to do and staying consistent on a persistent basis. Stay hungry, stay motivated, believe in what you're doing, and you will run your personal best for the 2 mile distance. Again, the faster you can run the 2 mile, the shorter distances, say the 800, the mile, the 2 mile, the 5K, is going to make you all the stronger for the longer races like the 5, 10K, 25K, and the marathon distances. So if you have any questions about the 2 mile, any other topics you want me to cover in my next video, feel free to let me know. Let me know where you're currently at for the 2 mile distance. I'd like to hear where you guys are currently running. I know some of my visitors have I know one gentleman's run 10:16. He's trying to go under 10 minutes. I certainly know he will, because once you're at that level and you're that close to breaking 10 minutes, it's not a matter of you know, if you're going to run sub 10, it's a matter of when you're going sub 10. So I want to definitely encourage all of you, whether you're training for the 2 mile or you're training for another event, stay motivated with what you want to do. You're gonna get what you want, but you just stay the course. Great athletes are, like I said, they're tenacious. They'll do whatever it takes, and they'll train for however long they need to train in order to get what they want. So I hope this video has been helpful for you all, and I'll talk to you all in the next